Week 2 of the USFL inaugural season, I guess technically, not really, but you know what I mean. If you do not watch week 1, I will leave a link to that down in the description in a playlist, and I will constantly update that playlist as the series progresses. There's not a whole lot to say. We're going to get right into week 2 though. If you guys aren't into the channel and you want to see some more videos like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel once again if you haven't already, and be sure to follow me on Twitch as well, where I stream almost every single night. Links down in the description or in the bio depending on what platform you're watching this on. And with that said, let's get right into it. Going into game 1, the very first game of the weekend, it aired on a Friday, so I was actually able to catch this game. The Michigan Panthers versus the New Jersey Generals. The story continues for the USFL in terms of attendance, where it did look to be low, but it looked to be higher than the really low ones that we've seen recently. I would say it was probably, over 1,000. I could be wrong though, I'm probably way off. I would say 1,000, maybe closer to 1,200. This was one of the fewer viewed games, I guess you could say, for the relaunch. Drew only 363,000 people on the USA Network, where the Generals defeated the Panthers 10-6. And I want you to keep in mind, I know you think that score is very low, and it is. That was the score at halftime, and they did not score for the rest of the game. Second half was absolutely scoreless. Shea Patterson led the game in passing, but was absolutely piss poor until the final few minutes. 14 of 29, 124 yards, and a 60.1 QBR. He really started to turn it up towards the end. I believe it was like a 4th and 20, and his offensive line was just bailing him out, and he was doing a really good job looking for his man, and he did. And he almost won them the game until he didn't. For the Generals, Darius Victor was the leading rusher for the game. 11 rushes, 40 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Relatively low, but again, considering how little he did rush, it's not too surprising. Also for the Generals, Darius Shepard led the game in receiving yards with 58 yards on 5 catches. This is just mostly based on opinion whenever I pick out a defense. I do feel like the Panthers defense was a little bit better. Had 71 tackles, 41 solos. They did have no sacks, but they had 4 tackles per loss, 1 pick, and 5 pass deflections. This was a pretty solid game in the first half, and then the second half, it did kind of turn away my interest up until the final few minutes in the fourth quarter, and then it really felt like I was watching a lower tier NFL game, which is honestly a really good thing. There were a few injuries throughout, which also made it feel like an NFL game. The kicker on the Panthers in the third quarter, I don't remember his name, so my apologies. If you watch the game, then you know. Missed the absolute worst field goal attempt I have ever seen in the NFL, in the AAF, anyone, any league ever, high school, college, whatever. Worst kick I have ever seen. If I find it, you will see it here. If not, then you'll probably find it somewhere on Twitter. Generals are still running a 2 QB system. They do have Luis Perez as a passer who can get out of the pocket when needed. They have DeAndre Johnson, who is almost exclusively a rusher. I mean, those are all really the notes I sort of have. I'm going to move on to game 2. Game 2, the Pittsburgh Maulers versus the Philadelphia Stars. Attendance, you guessed it, pretty low. However, this was the most viewed game of the week for the USFL, as it drew over 1 million viewers on Fox, where the Stars defeated the Maulers 30-23. Brian Scott, the Stars quarterback, drew 26 for 36, 272 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, which is currently a USFL single game record, 1 interception, and a 110 QBR. Maulers running back Garrett Groshek led the game in rushes, 18 carries, 77 yards. Bailey Gaither, 7 catches, 117 yards, and 1 touchdown. Stars defense really did it here. They had 80 tackles, 38 solos, 3 sacks, 3 TFLs, 2 picks, and 8 pass deflections. In week 2, off stats alone, it does look like Brian Scott might be the best quarterback currently. I have not seen a ton of him. I can't really give my full opinion of him, but from what I've seen, he does look really solid. Yeah, again, I don't really have a ton of notes for this game or the next 2 games, but I will be getting into that in a little bit. Game 3, the Birmingham Stallions going up against the Houston Gamblers. Both teams are 1-0. The attendance for this game looked really solid. It did look to be in the thousands, probably between 8 to 10,000, if not more. And the national viewership was the second worst for the week, drawing a little over 400,000 viewers on FS1, where the Stallions defeated the Gamblers 33-28. Stallions quarterback Jamar Smith led the game in passing, 20 of 30, 229 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 pick, and a 97.8 QBR. While Gamblers running back Mark Thompson led the game in rushing with 16 rushes and 93 yards, while Stallions wide receiver Marlon Williams led the game in receiving with 88 yards, 3 catches, and 1 touchdown. Stallions defense really locked up here, 63 tackles on 36 solos, 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, 3 picks, 9 interceptions, 1 touchdown, and a partridge in a fucking pear tree. Again, not a ton I can really say about this because I really did kind of fail on my mission of watching full USFL games, but I'm going to try to correct that a little bit throughout the weekend because I do want to be a little more prepared going into this video. I want to try to like actually give somewhat in-depth to describe to y'all who aren't actually watching the league or anything like that. And finally, game 4, the New Orleans Breakers versus the Tampa Bay Bandits. Both have 1 win apiece. Attendance looked to once again be really low, probably in the hundreds. This was the second best television viewership that they drew this week, with about over 800,000 viewers on NBC, where the Breakers had the first real blowout of the USFL, beating the Bandits 34-3. Breakers lead every major category. Their quarterback Kyle Slaughter went 25 of 39, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had a 101 QBR. Jordan Ellis, their running back, had 21 rushes for 64 yards. I really hate that. That really goes to about like 3 yards a carry, if not under. I appreciate the excessive rushing because we have not really seen a ton of that in this new USFL, but it's still just it looks ugly to me. Wide receiver Jonathan Adams, who plays for the Breakers, led the game in receiving with 92 yards on 5 catches. Their defense had 61 tackles on 34 solos, 4 sacks, 10 TFLs, 2 picks, and 6 pass deflections. And that's all I really have to say about all the games in the USFL. There are some notes I did want to share with y'all before I do leave. Viewership average dropped 58%. In week 1, they averaged almost 1.6 million viewers per game, and this week they did not crack 700,000. Attendance continues to be very, very low, with the exception of Stallions games, which is honestly the hometown team. I do find it funny that there are 2 teams based in Alabama, but there's only one that Alabama actually cares about. Like, oh, the Panthers? Fuck that team. Let's root for the Stallions. And I'm not gonna lie, the Stallions are a better team than the Panthers, but like, it's so weird to me. And this is why the USFL needs to experiment with touring next year. Even if it's not by a lot, they need to like branch out a little bit. That'll help their attendance numbers also. One more final thing, and this is something y'all can keep track on as well, as I will be doing per week. The Stallions and the Breakers are the only undefeated teams in the USFL currently at 2-0. So it's mostly just a race to see when or if that even ends. But yeah, that's going to be it from me though for week 2 of the USFL. If you guys watched this week, let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy and you want to see some more videos like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel once again if you haven't already. One more time, be sure to go follow me on Twitch as well. Links down in the description depending on what platform you're watching this on. And with that said, that's it for me, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.